Good evening, dirtbags, and welcome to No One's Gonna Hear This Anyways. We're your hosts, Austin and Alex, and today we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff you're not going to hear anyways. And if you like hearing about absolutely nothing, like, share, subscribe to Not a Podcast. If you have any questions or requests, email us at notapodcast@gmail.com.
Or don't, because no one's going to hear this anyway.
So did you hear? These two motherfuckers, geniuses, came in from Cuba on a makeshift propelled paraglider.
I actually have heard about that.
Dude, that was the craziest shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even think they had any sort of technology in Cuba, aside from cars that were made in like the 50s.
Man, and it was like a hang glider.
Right, like...
With like a go-kart on it.
So do you think they stole that shit from like the touristy parts and just put that shit together and hope for the best?
Man, for me, it's like not even like where did they get it? It's how did it work? Like they flew from Cuba to Key West, right? That's like 90 miles.
Well, more if I want to doubt they took off from the beach.
Yeah, that's 90 miles from like point to point. Like
Yeah.
from the very tip to the very tip. So that's not counting, wherever it is they took off from, which again, like how?
So let's call it 100 miles. Let's just be generous.
Like the Wright
And-
brothers are calling.
Yeah.
They're curious.
American Airlines is on the line. You wanna pick that one up?
Like, man, how far they've come though. I mean,
So-
you see some of the rafts that come on, and they're like a couple
Yeah.
of 50-gallon drums.
This is the first
And-
time I've heard of some shit like this.
Yeah, they've got like a fan for a motor. Like one of those little handheld fans from Disney World.
That shit rode on hopes and dreams, thoughts and
And
prayers.
now they're flying. They
Yeah, now
got their
they're-
own Air Force, man.
God, the Cuban Air Force just dropping fucking packs of cigars on people, letting them hit terminal velocity and just thwacking them.
Dude, like, it's just kind of baffling to me, and it goes back to what you were saying. It's like, how did they get the material to make this, right? Like, where did they steal this from? Because they didn't own it. Because nobody owns anything in Cuba. That's kind of the whole point. It's a communist country. Nobody owns shit.
So the education, there is education. I mean, there are engineers in Cuba. And what I didn't see was what these people were all about. Were they just like actual refugees, or were they well educated, I need to get the fuck out of here people?
Man, that reminds me too, like the baseball team. There was a defector.
The defector,
during
yeah.
during the classic. Every year every time they do it, there's a defector. And I think
Yep.
like the entire Olympic team or something defected the last Olympics.
I wonder why. I wonder why these people went back. Like
Which people?
The-
The rest of the team.
the rest of the team this time.
Well, yeah, because no saw no, like they don't know better.
Yeah, they're probably looking at this guy like, no, come on, like, what are you doing?
They were pissed at him. It's like, no, we got to go back to Cuba.
Yeah,
But
we
these
gotta
guys-
go back.
These guys went full send, man. Like, I'm trying to find a video of it, but
It
mean,
seems
it's-
very recent.
it's a hang glider. Yeah, it was a couple days ago. It was a hang glider. Like, I don't even see a propeller or anything.
Are you telling
had-
me that they literally just took off and thoughts and prayers?
Yeah, man. Like, they said, "Take care of me, God," and
Let me
Went
look that
for
one. Let me look at that. Let me see the picture real quick.
oh no, there's a propeller. There's a little propeller.
There is a
on the
propeller.
back. How'd two people fit on that?
Very gingerly.
Very they're very close.
No homo.
Yeah, they're very close friends.
And so it looks like it does look like a makeshift hang glider turned paraglider, because if you look at the top if you look at the wings, smack in the middle on the spine, there's these two black belts that when you're on a hang glider, all you do is lean and you're able to turn, and you can see the bar between them at the bottom. So it looks like these guys got some pieces of metal, busted up a go-kart, really a trike, put all this shit together, and just fucking Santa Maria. This it just took off.
I mean, it's kind of genius, really. I mean, like, get these people a job.
Yeah, man.
If they can make a functional plane that can fly 90 plus miles over the ocean.
Right. Where there's a lot of wind. We're starting to get into summer. There's a lot of turbulence, not only in the water but also in the air from all the changing of the jet streams and the temperature shifts.
Yeah, and I mean, like, storms.
Yeah, they didn't know. They probably didn't check the weather. Yeah, they could have gotten
how
fucked.
Could they? Do they have Apple weather?
No, they have
Radio Mambi.
Yeah. Yeah, man, they've got communist weather forecasts. You got red skies today and every day. Only red.
Only red.
Don't
Brother.
question it. Don't question it, you die.
So it looks like they had the one guy sitting way back and then another like pouch farther forward. And that's just kind of how they did it. Which makes a lot of sense. You need weight on the nose to support, to generate lift. You need to be able to bend downwards so that the wings can pick up air. You don't want to be ass heavy.
Mm-hmm. Because it'll tip you.
Yeah, and then
you want it distributed well no matter what. I mean, it's a flying.
Right.
Like, flight is so much more complicated, the physics behind it, than, like driving, for instance. Like, you can be a little bit off camber while driving and still be pretty functional. But, like, if you tip too much, on a small aircraft like that, especially, I mean,
yeah, if you spiral,
once you tip, you're done.
Something like that's open air. If you tip over, you're out of the bucket, and you're probably gonna drop a couple 100 feet down to the water, which beyond a certain speed turns into cement from how fast you're hitting it.
Mm-hmm. Which, and then, like, the question, like, how high were they flying?
Yeah, that's. I want to say at least maybe 150 feet, 100 feet, something that small. Definitely too low for airspace, because you know for a fact the United States would have been like, yo, what the fuck?
That must have been absolutely incredible. Like, that had to have been an incredible experience for those two guys flying. Like, when I think about that I can't help but smile.
Yeah.
Like, so did you ever see the movie The Road Warrior?
Mm-mm.
No?
Never heard of it.
It was, so Mad Max came out originally in, I think, like the 70s or 80s, something like that, with Mel Gibson.
Okay.
And so it was Mad Max, and then the sequel was The Road Warrior. And they had a flying device in it. And that's just like, it was just, Mel Gibson and this Australian guy who was crazy flying in a, like, makeshift helicopter. And that's like, for some reason, that is just the image that came to my head with these, like, thinking about these two Cubanasos just flying in from Cuba 100 feet over the water in, their Kitty Hawk plane
Yeah, man, if it's from the 80s, it's about time the bootlegs reached Cuba, so maybe they watched the movie and made it themselves.
Yeah, it finally got there. They caught it on like a laser disc, not even a DVD or a Blu-ray, fucking laser disc. Somehow they could watch it, or
It,
even VHS maybe.
it's on, no, it's on those flip pads, flip paper, flip books, damn.
Yeah, that's how they watched it. It was just a big binder with all the paper that they just. And it was like 6 or 7 of these books, and that's how they watched it. And they had to do it in secret, obviously, because if that showed up in Cuba, I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
the
they're
world.
that's it. Out to the gulag. You're out. You're done. You're not staying in Cuba. You're going to Russia.
I wonder if the government saw these guys and were like, you know what, just let them leave. Because I
Well,
think like Cuba, for the most part, hasn't really like stopped people from leaving.
well, because you really can't. The only times they catch people, quote unquote, it is beforehand. They someone snitches, and there's an incentive to snitch on people. Like the government will reward you very well if it leads to a conviction that there's evidence of them trying to leave. So if these guys would have gotten busted with a whole ass like tricopter or whatever you want to call it, someone would have been paid hella good. Like that family would have been set.
Man, they don't need any evidence. They don't need a conviction. It's Cuba. It's like the Salem witch trials.
Yes, but at the same time they don't actually fuck with people as like wanton as people think. It really is a secret police deal. And they only fuck with you at like customs or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you remember, I don't know if it's still going on, but there was all the protests that were happening with it was like a year ago
In Cuba?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
There were massive protests, and then like you had the black shirts out there just clapping people.
I wonder for what? What was the? What was
I
it
think
about?
it's because of the economy. I mean, because like you'll see the videos of a guy like checking out at the supermarket, and it'll be like 2 mangoes and a bag of rice and like some water bottles, and it'll be like $50 or some crazy shit like that.
That sounds real familiar.
I'm kind of talking out my ass a little bit with that, but the gist is there. It's inflation, shit economy, not enough money, and everything costs a lot more than it rightfully should.
Yeah.
And it was all during COVID too, where like people were freaking out over the pandemic.
So there were protests in Cuba. I wonder how many people they took to jail.
A lot.
How do they even have space for all these people in jail? It's an island. I can't imagine their facilities are all too big.
Yeah, well, they also make a lot of people disappear.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was started July 11th, 2021.
Oh wow. 7-Eleven.
And yeah, they ended 6 days later. Yeah.
Yeah. That checks out.
Resulted in a crackdown.
Cracked
So-
skulls.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that, I'm assuming. Because, I mean, countries like that, they don't tolerate.
Anything.
Uy, coño. They don't tolerate, anything. There's no tolerance whatsoever. Oh, okay, you want an affordable mango? Okay,
No.
well, how does the gulag sound? Best I can do is 7 years in prison. 7 years, no trial.
Oh, you want a bathroom? You want a public bathroom?
No.
Best I can do is 5 years swinging a pickaxe at rocks.
Give you a number and a sledgehammer, And you'll spend the rest of your life turning big rocks into little rocks.
And then the little rocks into littler rocks.
And that'll be the story of whoever asked for whatever liberty they think they deserve.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cuba perfected Epsteining people.
Dude, I mean, when you look at it, like, that's like one of the longest standing dictatorships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Fidel Castro was in power for fucking ever, man. That cockroach just would not die.
Yeah, and then now that he is dead, it's like the other cockroaches are just like, I don't want to stop being a cockroach.
Yeah, his little crew of acolytes, you know, his disciples of scumbaggery, they just, you know, kept the status quo. They're like, oh, why are we going to change anything?
Take
Life's
good care of
pretty
your
good here in
military and
Gulag.
everything else falls into place.
Yeah, I mean, take really good care of them. Like, treat them as upper class citizens and everybody else as,
Lower
you know,
class.
rats that you can just stomp and do whatever to and not give a shit about.
I'm pretty sure the salary for a doctor in Cuba is about the same as like a mid-rank militant.
Probably. I mean, like, being a doctor there doesn't really matter. Like, they don't give a shit what you provide for the people because they don't care about the people, and that's like the biggest problem with, you know, like, communism is it claims to be for the people, but it never really is.
When in reality, you're a doctor at the Gulag trying to get people back in. You know, someone busts their hand and now you got to fix their hand.
Yeah. And you're also a doctor imprisoned in the Gulag.
Right.
You're not just the doctor of the Gulag. You are a resident of it as well.
Yeah. Through no fault of your own, you just decided to study medicine.
Yeah.
And intellectuals are frowned upon.
Or you said, you know, maybe communism isn't the best idea, and then, you know, they said, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you go ahead and we're gonna take you somewhere where you can say that as much as you want.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who would agree with you. Follow me.
Yeah, you get to practice medicine there too. Don't worry.
You can do whatever you want.
You won't be taken well care of, you know, but you'll be able to do those things. You'll get beaten regularly and probably won't survive very long. But hey, you can say communism's bad all you want. And that's why these two guys got on the glider and left Cuba.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, Gulag, yeah, let me give me like 24 hours to like, you know, just get everything ready. I'll be out there. I'll meet you there." And then just fucking took off.
So, this reminds me, there's a book. I haven't finished it, but I've read a decent bit of it. And this would probably be interesting to you if you haven't read it, you and your family, you know, especially as a fellow Cuban whose you know, family is immigrated here, likely for the same reasons, to escape communism and dictatorship and persecution. But it's a book called Against All Hope, and it's by Armando Valladares. Sorry, and it's about being imprisoned in one of Castro's gulags, like one of like the actual prisons. And I think it was like he was there for like 15 or 20 years, stuck in it. And this guy was, I think, a reporter beforehand, or, you know, a journalist that, you know, he wrote for the paper or a magazine. Around the time of Castro's ascension. And people didn't really know, and this is like a little known fact, but just by talking to other people about it, is that Castro lied to everybody. And I mean, everybody kind of knows that to some point, that he wasn't, you know, all he was cracked up to be, obviously, but that he had told people that he wasn't a communist. So like that was kind of like a big thing. It's like no, 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 no. We're not gonna be communists. Like it's gonna be fine. Like trust me. And if you started reading the writing on the wall and started saying stuff about it, that's when you started disappearing. And this is early on in his regime, you know, shortly after the takeover, that people were saying, you know, it's like, hey, this is kind of sounding like communism, man. Like, I thought we weren't about this. And them and their entire family would just disappear. The
Sounds
black
right.
shirts would come in and take you away, and that was it. You're never seen again. And like this guy had been writing about it, and I think it was like his boss was saying, hey, you know, stop doing that. They're starting to warn me, and it's not gonna end well. Like maybe just stop saying this stuff. To the point where he was kind of getting intimidated outside of work, and they're saying like, why are you saying all that shit? Like, stop saying that stuff. But this guy, you know, he's a journalist. He believed in free speech and reporting the facts, and or at least your opinion of what's going on as accurately and as unbiased as you can. That's, you know, reporting and journalism at its core. Whether or not that,
Yeah.
you know, that happens, that's you know, the gray area. But he was doing it to the best of his ability, and people were starting to intimidate him, and then like boom, they came after him in the middle of the night, and that was it. And he was in prison for the next 20 years.
That's how the culture was before Castro. Cuba was very much progressive, especially after opening trade with the United States. They were just they had the economic boom in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like there was definitely some bad shit too. Fulgencio Batista wasn't a good dude, but he was trying to bring, like, there was money going into Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
But Castro, like the Fulgencio was like he kind of played ball a little bit.
Like a politician.
Castro did not play ball. He said, all of you people that are against me are gonna die or leave, and you can die or leave right the fuck now. And like most people, they had to go quick. Like when the revolution was over and Castro was starting to nationalize everything, you know, there'd be, you know, people who supported him beforehand that were like, yeah, we want you to take over. We prefer what you're talking about to what we have now. And these were like tobacco field owners, tobacco farmers, you know, factory owners. These were, you know, capitalists that were trying to, you know, just make money and live a good life in Cuba, the Western kind of way, though.
Yeah.
And when he took over, he said, okay, yeah, well, this is all mine now. This belongs to the
State-owned.
state. Yeah. So you can either leave or you can disappear. You know, either way, you're not going to be around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like this took those people completely by surprise. So like my stepdad is kind of like he's a big name in the cigar industry.
Mm-hmm.
And his family owned, you know, tobacco fields in Cuba. And they were one of those people that happened to, that they supported Castro. Like, you know, they liked what he was talking about, and they thought, okay, well, this is going to end well for everybody. No, it's not. You're leaving. And they went into exile. They had to run because Castro said, this is mine now, and I will kill you if you say anything otherwise. So I get why these two guys left, man. I'm happy for them. I keep thinking back to the image I have in my head of them flying in the hang glider.
How many
Man,
beers did they take before ripping the engine?
Man, fuck beer. They were drinking fucking aguardiente or something. They were drinking, clear rum. Like essentially moonshine rum.
They were on the good shit.
Yeah, they were on the strong, made in the toilet shit.
If you're gonna dance with the devil, you might as well lead.
Yep. I mean, that was full send, man, and I love it. I am fucking here for it.
I hope they do a
Get
story
the fuck
on
out
it.
of Cuba. I hope they make a damn movie about it. These guys are my heroes. As a Cuban, these guys are my heroes.
I wonder if that's gonna be like the new way to go. Because, I mean, if one person can do it, a second person can definitely do it.
Yeah, but I mean, just thinking about resources to make something like that happen, like the logistics of it. I mean, they had to have the perfect storm of material. This probably took these guys months, if not years, to bring all of those parts together and assemble this thing. Like, this is their brainchild.
Damn,
So,
yeah.
How many go-karts are there in Cuba? Like, how many hang gliders?
That was
are
it.
there in Cuba?
They took the only one.
El único. And there it goes. It's like, hey man, is that a hang glider? Like, I didn't even know we had those on this country.
The former owner runs out just like, that motherfucker took my fucking go-kart.
Uy, hijo de puta!
Come pinga!
Just screaming at the top of his lungs. And they're screaming back, but you can't hear them because they're just flying off in the distance.
Those conversations the day or night before must have been excellent. Of just, fuck you. No, I'm leaving. This fucking sucks. Hey, don't talk like that. Nah, this is bullshit. I'm out of here. Nah, that shit ain't gonna work. Bet. And they fucking did it.
The conversations on the plane ride, man. I mean, because that's like 90 miles. Like, I can't imagine they were going that fast.
That's at least a 3-hour ride. I want to. If you're calling 30 miles an hour, which is generous, that's a 3-hour ride, man.
Exactly. Like, that is a long flight, man. Ain't no in-flight movie. Just hablando mierda. Like, they probably brought that bottle of rum with them.
They were slamming down that aguardiente.
Yep. They were hitting it. And they couldn't believe it when they saw Key West coming into view. Guaranteed. I want that, like, whatever interview they had to do when they landed and got, picked up by INS or whoever the fuck.
ICE, yeah.
I want to hear what they had to say. Like, I want that to be not declassified, but just publicized. Because, like, man, the stones on those people. And is it a guy and a girl? Is it 2 guys, 2 girls? Like, I'm not 100% sure on the on what the group was. Like, man and wife, 2 buddies, 2 husband. I don't know if that might have been the reason why they left Cuba, but like, what were they talking about?
They were talking about this podcast of 2 dudes that are wandering the universe and answering life's most profound questions.
Yeah, like, what were the 2 guys on the go-kart hang glider plane thinking?
Well, that's what they were listening to.
So, no, they're thinking about us.
Yeah, they know all about us.
They're talking about us, talking about them right now.
Yeah, they're like, I bet this is going to be on that podcast.
Mm-hmm. They probably don't even know what a podcast is.
Podcast.
¿Podcast?
¿Qué un podcast?
¿Qué cosa es eso? ¿Qué pinga?
They gotta sell that empty bottle of whatever they were drinking at an auction. Get them their starter cash.
No, man, they gotta fucking they gotta sell the dream machine, man. I'd buy it. That's an actual fucking plane. Like, they flew that thing.
Yeah,
man.
they seized it.
Like, Dude,
They
that it still just blows my mind that they were able to fly with that. I'm telling you, the fucking the Wright brothers are calling, man. They're like, man, how'd y'all figure that one out? Like, it took us years and made this gigantic, cumbersome flight device.
for one
And
person.
and you flew two people and whatever the fuck this thing is, like, that's incredible. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I can't get over it. 90 miles airborne over the ocean in that thing, in that death trap. And they were probably super chill the whole time. They probably didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, because they were either gonna die in Cuba or die in the water. As far
Or
as they were
land
concerned, they were dead men flying.
or land in America.
Yeah, that was the goal. That
Yeah,
was the dream.
It was do or die, so might as well not be stressed out about it.
I wonder if this news has made it to Cuba, like through the underground.
I don't think they give a shit. Or are you talking about, like the people?
Like, yeah, the people somehow they have like there's backdoor ways to get news from the United States.
Well, they probably have Telegram or something like that. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with that?
Yeah. So probably
That's like what people use in like Eastern Europe right now.
there's probably people with family in Cuba just being like, look, do you know these people? Do you know these people?
And just what about the people that saw it happen?
That's the grand question. If people saw it happen,
Yeah,
how
what the fuck
how
is
weren't
that?
they stopped? Because like
What
I
are they
said,
gonna
people
do?
get rewarded for that kind of shit.
Are they gonna fucking shoot it down with a bazooka? Like,
Oh, like saw
it's
it
such
while it was in the air. Yeah.
yeah, like people like on the beach or something or on the pier fishing, and they just see this contraption taking off. It's like, what the fuck is that thing? There's two people on there.
Is
They're looking
is
through-
that a bird? Is that a plane? No, solo un como pinga.
Los dos mojones.
Los dos mojones.
They took flight and they didn't look back. These guys are my heroes. I'll buy them a box of cigars, man.
Yeah, if you guys are, if y'all, I can't assume that they're guys. If y'all are listening, shoot us, get in touch with us somehow. We'll figure something out, get you on the show, and we'll talk.
I'll buy
I
you
would
cigars,
love to
I
interview
promise.
them.
Cigars and a bottle of Flor de Caña.
Fuck yeah.
Also, up here we don't say y'all, we say yuns.
Yuns.
I hear that one a lot. Yuns.
Now
I
here it's
remember
y'all.
The first time I heard yuns, I was like, man, what the fuck did you just say to me?
What'd you say about my mama?
Yuns. Yeah, and then what they say about your mama is, how's your mama name? How's your mom?
I'm like
and
short circuiting.
It's essentially
How's your mama
like,
doing? Yeah.
It's like how's your mom and them.
Oh.
It's how's your mom and him. We're about halfway through our show, and that means it's time to remind you, if you like what you're not hearing, like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on absolutely nothing important.
Or don't, because no one's going to hear this anyway.
I can't.
How would you say that in, like, what's like Cuban slang for that?
For that,
How's your family?
how's your family?
I just know y tu familia, like, but with a question mark. That's not really slang. I do remember.
I have
y tu,
heard.
Y tu novia. Y tu novia.
I have
season.
heard y lo conocido, like the people that you know in
Yeah.
reference to family. That's really it. That's all I could think of. Haven't really heard of anything else.
That's kind of close.
Uh,
The colloquialisms are. It's still like I'm still learning them.
Yeah,
despite having lived here for over 5 years now.
Y la novia is hitting real hard now because it's like, no, I don't have one.
Hey, but at least the season for it's over.
Yeah, I get to just I don't have to try as hard.
For me, it's like y los hijos. Like they keep asking, like, "Hey, are you gonna have kids
¿Y
soon?"
cuándo va a abrir la factoría? La factoría, that's slang. ¿Cuándo
What,
va a
like
abrir
the
the
baby
baby factory?
factory? Yeah.
¿Cuándo va a abrir la factoría?
Yeah. Well, that's man. I mean, it just goes from one to the other. My mom is always being like, "Oh, when are you gonna give me grandkids?" It's like, man,
My mom gave
where?
up.
It's like, why are you in such a hurry? Well, so I'm married, so at least I guess it's like a valid question. Like if you're single, it's the y la novia. But like for now that I'm married, it's okay. So where are the kids? When are you gonna start giving me some grandkids?
Let me get
My
some of them
dad,
babies.
yeah, my dad, however, could not be more opposite because he like him and I when I was younger. I remembered I made a pact with him. I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna like the bloodline ends here. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna keep poisoning the world with more Gans, right? Like there's not gonna be any more of me that comes out. And so my dad will always be like, remember the pact. Don't do it.
Don't do it,
I know
man.
you're thinking about it, but don't do it.
Yeah, I did the same with myself. I'm like, this stops here. I
Yeah,
can't.
the buck stops here. The world doesn't need more of us. But my mom, however, like my nephew being born kind of bought me a little bit of time because that's it. Like there's the first grandkid came out. So that there it is. But now he's getting to be, like 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 years old now. I
And your
think.
sister is older than you, right?
Yeah, she's like 6 years older than I am.
Okay. So that's at least 6 years of pause.
Yeah, but not really because I mean, already now that he's like this age, and now I'm married. My mom's back on it. Like, hey, so Nikki's planning on having another kid in 2024. Are you guys like thinking about maybe trying to do one in 2024 as well so they can grow up like close cousins? Like my mom's trying to be, the fiddler on the roof here.
Mm-hmm.
She's the puppet master trying to get us all to have a bunch of babies within close proximity to each other. So it's a big, Cuban family.
When my mom asked me if I was planning on having kids with my ex from Alabama, I told her, oh, I didn't tell you. And she freaked out like, oh my God, she's pregnant. I can't believe you did that. What the fuck? Like, you're so stupid. How could you get her pregnant? And I'm like, I fucking got you. How the fuck are you going to tell me to ask me when the fuck I'm going to have kids when you don't want me to get her pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she kind of like backed off.
That's the two sides of the crazy like Hispanic mother. It goes from like, oh, when are you gonna do this thing that I want you to do, and then you say
You do
that
the
you
thing.
did it, yeah, and they're like, oh my God, but you didn't tell me. I want what? Now it doesn't seem like it was my idea because the I told you so's are
Yeah.
fucking relentless. And I love my mother dearly, just in case.
And then you can't win after the fact. Like, you have a kid, and then let's say you're like just miserable. Like it's a kid that doesn't stop crying. It's just like not well behaved or whatever. You're having a hard time just as a parent. Your mom's gonna be like, "Oh, I told you not to rush into having kids. You should have waited a little bit longer." But then if you're having a great time with your kid, it's a saint and they're intelligent, they're developing perfectly fine. Wow, good thing you had kids when I told you. Huh. Funny how the world works.
métete un tiro.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
Can't win.
déjame en paz, coño. Like, I'm so glad that I have, in recent time, like, really just kind of squashed any influence my mother has over my life. Yeah, and as a grown-ass man, I feel like that's not even something really to take pride in. But I'm glad that I did it, within the past few years. Getting my life together, getting my own shit, having my own house, everything. Like, I pretty much told my mom once, it's like, hey, yeah, you can't tell me what to do ever again. So just don't waste your breath. Like, don't try and, do the mom manipulation, emotional blackmail, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's not going to work. So just keep your opinions to yourself because I don't want to hear them. And let's keep it casual.
I got jaded to that in high school. Well, I still lived with her. And then once I finally moved out with good old Brian, I had a huge falling out with her. And only recently, like, did we start, like, getting on better terms. But she knows not to fuck with me.
I had the huge falling out years ago. So I was able to get that out of the way pretty quickly. And it was, when she kicked me out and I had to go, move in the trap house, as you might recall it.
Yeah.
And, like, for the next 2 years, like, her and I barely spoke. And then once I got sober, that's when my relationship with her got back on better terms. And getting through all of that stuff and realizing I am in control of my life, that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to have any issues with you because you're not going to cause any. But I feel like that's like that's like most mothers, most parents, really. My dad was pretty hands off, but my mom was always the needler.
They like to use the "but you're my child" excuse, and I know what's best. When we've seen time and again, especially more recently, that the older generation knows about as much as we do, and they couldn't possibly know what was best for us because we also don't know what's best for us. And then it just becomes a hyperbole. It feeds itself.
Well, the problem is the world is ever changing. Everything is always changing. And so advice that was applicable 20 years ago isn't applicable now, but then again it might be applicable again in 20 years.
Right.
Or the advice that I've learned now won't be applicable in 20 years or 5 years. However, whatever variable you want to put to it, like whatever time variable, it doesn't really matter. Like, the world is ever changing. The issues that we have to deal with are always changing, especially with the landscape over the past, like, 40 years, I'd say. With the advent of technology. So, like, the fact that you and I are able to do this, what we're doing right now, which is recording a podcast from, 500 miles away from each other over computer, and be able to make it seem like we're in the same damn room together. Like, that wasn't a thing 20 years ago. That was a really difficult thing to achieve, where you had to have, like, radio stations.
Live via satellite.
Yeah, like, you had to have, you had to have it set up. Like, I open my laptop, plug my microphone in, and we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah, all I have to do is hit a button, and this is getting...
We have infinite information at our fingertips for which we could talk about, where we could confirm whatever we're talking about, to look up topics, look up videos, look up images of whatever it is we're discussing instantly. And now you put that on every single scale. So, like, little kids have their own iPhone, or their friend has an iPhone. They can just look up whatever it is on that phone, or a laptop, or a tablet. We have TVs in every room. It is a very different world than when we were kids. and even more so than when they were kids. So, like, how can you really give accurate advice to people when the world as you knew it isn't the same world it is that they're living in?
Right.
Like, you can't let kids ride around on a bicycle outdoors now by themselves, fucking get taken and get shot or something.
Can't even send them to school anymore.
Can't even send them to fucking school anymore, man. Like, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but, you know, just by what we see here, it's a dangerous place, man. But look at us, we turned out, you know, I guess.
Kinda.
I don't know if all right's all right's the word, but we're here.
Yeah, we made it somewhere.
A lot of people didn't.
And we're not dead. So those are two very good metrics to go by. We are somewhere and we are not dead.
I will tell you though, my body's fucking falling apart.
Oh yeah. Fucking I try to snap my back, you know, twisting in bed. And the muscle right over my rib cage stretches a little too much. And then I get a cramp over my rib cage, like just under my armpit. That's the fucking... It hurts so goddamn bad.
Yeah, for me, I have like such extensive knee ligament damage, like in my right knee. I was deadlifting the other day, and when I stood up, I went for a max, and it was, you know, just 4 plates. I just went for just like a max set to try and knock out, you know, like 5 of them. And on the very first pull, I felt like a crunch in my right knee. And I was like, oh God, that felt like shit. And now there's like no structure in it. Like there's no like support in it. So it just like keeps like giving out.
Damn, dude. Are you is that gonna impact your exercise at all?
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. I'll tell you that much. I've still been able to work, but it's like it hyperextends really easily now, and I don't really know what to do about it. But I don't want to get it checked out and then, you know, have to hear whatever they have to say, like, oh man, you did this to your knee, you should probably not work right now. And then I have to tell them, you know, shove it up your ass, I need money.
Oh, you don't get paid on FMLA?
I do, but I want to work overtime.
Oh.
Yeah, like my base pay is decent, but like overtime's fat, son. I'm trying to make, you know.
That's the one thing I miss about my old shift. Being noon to 8, I was like a closer, basically. And they gave us a lot of liberty for overtime. But now that I'm 9 to 5, like, my boss came up to me, she's like, Did you do anything for these like 30 minutes that you were over? I'm like, I mean, yeah, I was doing this, that, and that. She goes, oh, okay, all right, yeah, that's fine. And she like kind of backpedaled a bit, and I was like, what the fuck? It's only a half hour.
Yeah, man, like corporate doesn't want to give overtime, man. The government, they love giving overtime. They stay slinging it. That's the American dream right there. Forget about like a 9 to 5 or just making money like base salary. Overtime. That's the capitalist way.
Yeah, working that 110%.
Bro,
pulling yourself up by them bootstraps, boy.
Time and a half is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then we get like a little like standby pay bonus. It's not like a lot or anything. It's just for putting your name down for overtime, you get $20.
Oh, that's,
and they're talking about bumping it to 40. It's nice because it's like gas money or, you know, food for that day and the next shift. Like, it's just $20, but $20 is $20, and that's just for putting your name down. And if they bump it up to 40, that's even better. I love my standby pay. That shit's slapping.
And now the work that would have gotten me a little bit of overtime is basically over. The clinical toxicology lab is getting signed off right now to be up in operation, and the bulk of the work was me doing instrument correlations and was validating all the tests. Rather,
I mean,
verifying.
you probably make a decent salary though.
Not really. I wasn't able to get a raise from when I was a tech. I didn't qualify for the position technically, and when I was offered the job, the way they approached me was, "We'll give you a 7% raise," and I'm like, "All right, that's cool." However, I had a 10% shift differential because I worked nights, so I would have lost 3% had I not been like, "Wait, whoa, hold up, let me keep my 10%." And they said, "Yep, okay," and just like walked away. I was like, "Fuck! I should have tried to get the 7 on the 10," but I didn't really have ground to stand on because I was 6 months shy of experience. I have petroleum lab experience, not medical lab experience, and they wanted 2 years. I had 18 months at that point.
Just not good enough.
Yeah, just not good enough. So I told my boss, I'm like, "Hey, like, I kind of got shafted. Can you help me out? Like, would you back me up in a conversation with HR?" She goes, "Yeah, but we're about to give the merit raises," and I told her, would you be okay with waiting on this lab? If you feel that I do a good job, will you back me up? And she goes, "Yeah, that should be enough time. That's more than enough ammo. Let's do it." So she's really supportive. She's really cool about that. And as far as I'm concerned, I am making way less than my peers. So I'm gonna be due a pretty fat raise.
Yeah, well, I know what that's like. When I see what South Florida firefighters are getting paid, it's like, damn, man, that hurts.
Yeah, especially in a place that's considerably more at risk with all the jojeria that happens.
I mean, they make fat money in Miami.
Yeah, but they also deal with jojeros.
I mean, dude. That's being a firefighter anywhere. You're gonna deal with that kind of shit. But they get paid a lot more than we do, and it always like stings to see that. Because we don't make that much money. We make enough.
Enough to be comfortable in Asheville.
Like, to have to put up with the stuff we put up with. Like, a little bit more money would be nice. It definitely make coping a little easier, but what am I gonna do? I've got job security, and that's what matters.
Same.
People are always gonna need firefighters. Because when their cell phone doesn't work and they're 100 years old, but they need to call their grandson at 2 o'clock in the morning to ask them to bring some beans or something tomorrow, we gotta go and fix it for them. Because that's what people call 911 for.
That sounds like it happened.
I'm not gonna say it did, but stuff that's close enough to that has happened. And that's why I know I'll always have a job. I find myself saying this a lot more lately. It's we were heroes once. We were an emergency service. And now I don't even know what we are. But people are fucking dumb, man.
Yeah, your first responders.
That's it.
Right.
What are we responding to? Not exactly sure, but we're going to be first. Let's get after it.
You think it's partly the dispatcher's fault that you guys get shit calls?
No, I don't blame dispatch for anything because, like if you call 911, you're calling 911 like you call, we answer. That's our whole spiel. Anytime you call 911, there will be someone coming. And we'll do everything we can to help you. Because that's what we signed up to do. We want to help people. We want to be there for people. It's just the people that don't realize that that's not really what you're supposed to call 911 for. And they'll tell, like, sometimes, like, they'll just straight up lie to dispatch. You're like, yeah, I fell down.
And then you get there and it's like, no, I got up, but I have a casserole in the oven. Can you pull that out for me, please?
Yeah, like, can you take the trash to the curb? I just had back surgery. It's like, okay, yeah, well, you know what? Fine. Like, might as well. I can't. We came all the way out here.
We're already here.
Yeah, we're already here, so fine. Like, you want me to take the trash out? Okay, fine. Now I'll get a rookie to do it. And we'll take their trash out. And you know, like sometimes like those things will still, like, depending on your mood during the day, you'll either laugh about it or you'll get upset about it. But eventually you'll laugh about it, whether it's in that moment or later on. Because, like, the trash can thing, like, man, I'm gonna be pretty upset. It's like, don't ask me to take out your trash. I'm not a garbage man. Come on, I'm a firefighter.
Yeah, I can imagine it pisses off the rookies.
No, whatever. Rookies can get over it. Rookies don't give a shit about anything. They're just happy to be there. It's more the people that realize, like, hey, you know, we could be doing something important right now. But instead, we're taking the trash out.
Have you ever been in a firefight where you're just like, this is a losing battle? Like, I don't think this is going to happen.
Like, actually fighting fire? Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to, like, back off because it was just...
man.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. We've gotten our asses kicked once or twice. It all depends on how long the fire's been burning before you get there. And it depends on construction and the shit that they had in their house. It's called fire load. So, like, you could imagine a hoarder house will light up pretty quickly.
Okay. Damn, that must be fucking crazy to just be in it and just flames coming at you and you're just like, fuck you, and you shoot water at it.
Yeah, and it heats up too. I mean, it's hot as fuck in a fire. If it's ripping, I mean, you feel it. It's uncomfortable. And, like, you'll know, it's like, damn, that's it feels a lot hotter than it should feel right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, the conditions will be super shitty. You won't be able to see anything except for, like, a faint glow, maybe. And
that faint glow is fucking...
If you're seeing a big glow, then you might be in trouble. And especially if it's really hot and if you start seeing it going over your head, it's time to get, back up and on a little bit, and go to plan B. But we've lost houses before where, you show up just too late. Like, you start seeing it really cooking off in the back of the house and you've got to go and try and get to it. And then you realize, like, hey, we're not going to beat this. And you got to back out. It's kind of embarrassing, but it shouldn't be.
It's like, part of the job, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing to be embarrassed about that you couldn't get there in time or that someone didn't call you right away. You don't know how long it was burning for.
When I was a kid, I must have been a sophomore. Stepdad forgot something was cooking on the stove and it caught fire. And I didn't know whether or not we had an extinguisher. It was small enough that, just a gas extinguisher would have been enough, but I didn't know if we had one. And it was oil, and I knew better by that time to put it underwater. So I was just like, oh, fuck. So I took it off the stove. Like, I moved it off of the element. I left the element on because I didn't want to reach over, but I called 911. So firefighters get there. They, spray it with their own, what's it called, extinguisher, because it was still small. But my fucking stepdad at the time got pissed at me. Why'd you call 911? I'm like, where the fuck were you? He showed up, like, as the what's it called, the the firefighters were getting there, he was like, he drove off and forgot.
Gickle made me
And he got pissed at me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
you did the right thing.
The whole wall got charred.
The firefighters probably high-fived you.
No, I didn't even get to talk to him. My stepdad kind of...
No.
Yeah, my stepdad kind of, like, shooed them away.
Oh, what a dick. Nah, man. Like, it's a bummer when you get there and it's, you know, the fire's out, because that's kind of like, that's our Super Bowl, you know? Like, that's the big game for us, is when we actually get to fight fire. That's something we're excited about. But it's also really good that, you know, someone was able to put it out, because then it saves their property. It's, you know, like, at the end of the day, it's someone's house that we're going into to try and save. So if someone saves it before we get there, then it's one of those moments where it's like, man, good looks, dude. Like, good work. Especially, like, if you're a kid, like a teenager or something. Man, like, most teenagers, they're fucking stupid. Yeah, and they don't think about, oh, it's a grease fire, I'm not supposed to put water on this, or maybe I should move it. You know, could you have probably covered the pan with a lid? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I could have snuffed it somehow.
Isn't the wrong thing. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to call 911.
And it turns out we did have an extinguisher. It was just in the utility room, behind where the door covers. Like, when you open the door, the egress is inward.
Nah, it's supposed to be in the kitchen, man.
And as soon as the door hits the wall, there's a little panel there with the fire extinguisher. So it's behind the fucking door. And I never knew it existed until my mom showed it to me. She's like, we have a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, we'll keep it in the damn kitchen. That's where you're supposed to have it.
The one I have for my apartment is in my, what's it called? My utility room with a washer dryer, which is right there in the kitchen. Like, it's just like a closet, basically. But I took that shit out, and I have it, like, on the, what's it called? The refrigerator. Just so it's right there next to the stove. And out of reach so that nobody, like, bumps into it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a good place for it.
But bet your ass I'm going to have at least 2 or 3 different types of fire extinguishers. I did IATA training, International Aviation Transportation Association.
Uh-huh.
And they have like hazardous materials handling training. Part of it is flammables, obviously, but there's the different classes of flame source. So I'm definitely gonna have something for grease fires.
Fuel source.
Fuel source.
You don't really need something for grease fires. I mean, as long as you have an ABC dry chem fire extinguisher, you'll cover most things.
I know, but
I'm
paranoid.
Fire, I mean, you gotta have, you know, a good mitt and a good lid to cover it with. Not like a glass lid, but, you know, a metal lid.
And balls of steel, which...
Nah. Nah. It's, you know...
No, in my paranoia, I'm probably gonna get the...
The
like
Class
a little...
K fire extinguisher is a very, like, unique piece of equipment.
No, I was thinking like a powder bomb. Some little latex ball filled with oil absorbing powder. You toss it into the fire, it just...
That's you say you need balls of steel to put a lid on it, but to toss a ball into a grease fire, you're cool with it?
Yeah, because I get to do that from far away.
I would. You'd fucking miss. Are you out of your mind?
I'm not gonna like three-point throw it.
Go and throw it. Go to lob it in there, and it'll just completely whiff and explode on your counter. And then
I call 911
with your dick in your hands. Nah, man. Like, you just get a dry chem and you'll be good.
All right, but I'm at least gonna have more than one. One in the kitchen and one somewhere else.
Yeah. Is that still your stepdad?
No, he passed. He first, my mom divorced him, then he passed away.
Rest in piss, dickbag. That's all the time we have for today's episode. If you like what you're not hearing, like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on absolutely nothing important. Or don't.
Because no one's going to hear this anyway.